Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Fully Mindful. I'm Melissa, and today we're going to dive into something new here that I'm trying out, a little experiment called brain buzz. So I'll be talking on a subject and maybe even guiding you through a practice, which is what I will be doing today. And so today I thought we'd talk about something that we all crave a little bit more, even if we don't always realize it, and that is belonging. In a world where it seems like we're more divided than ever, belonging, true connection, can feel hard to come by. But what if I told you that we're not as divided as we think? That most of us actually agree on a lot, even on topics we think are most divisive. This was news to me. I know that might sound surprising, it certainly was for me, but there's a lot of research to back this up. I've become aware of some studies that show that while we often believe we're in constant conflict with people who think differently from us, especially this time of year, right near election time, the reality is we're more aligned than we think. Organizations like More in Common have done studies on what's called perception gaps. This is really the difference between what we think people believe and what they actually believe. It turns out we vastly overestimate how different we are from one another. And it's not just abstract data. There's a fascinating study that I learned about on the Happiness Lab podcast with Dr. Laurie Santos. And this was a study they talked about from Stanford, where two people who had seemingly opposite views on some pretty hot topics like climate, gun control, other sorts of hot button topics. And yeah, there was a twist. They weren't just thrown into a debate. So there was a mediator there to guide the conversation, or at least to moderate the conversation if things went off the rails. And so what they discovered actually was that, number one, they had a group of people who were predicting how many times the mediator would have to intervene. And I think they predicted something like 20 or 25%. And it turned out to be 0% did the mediator have to come in and get people to stop being rude or difficult. It turned out people really enjoyed having this connection and this ability to speak about things that were important to them. And the common thread seemed to be that instead of trying to persuade or teach someone, they're just speaking from their own experience. So they were invited to talk about these topics from their own experience. And the result was that they both felt like they belonged to the conversation and to the connection. In fact, somewhere, I think it was close to 100%, had a really great experience. So this kind of belonging isn't about total agreement, which is probably important to remember around election time. It's about being able to show up as ourselves and feel seen and heard and valued, even in a disagreement. It's something we all want, whether it's at work, in our communities, at home, with our families. But we don't have to wait for the perfect situation or some kind of magic moment to feel this. We can create belonging in small, powerful ways in our everyday lives. So I thought I would lead you through a very short belonging exercise. It's in part developed from something that I read about and heard about through Kimberly Snyder, who has done some work with the HeartMath Institute. So it's sort of taking on her exercise and adding belongingness to it. So wherever you are, maybe just sitting and knowing that you're sitting, just becoming aware of your body here in time and space, and just breathing naturally. And if it feels comfortable, and if you're in a safe place to do so, you can close down the eyes and just start breathing into the physical space of the heart. So just breathing in that air through the nose into the physical space of the heart. And just keeping your attention on your heart. I'm going to lead you through a count. And this count is known as coherence breathing. So we'll be breathing in for 5 and out for 5. And just continuing to focus on the heart. Just imagine breathing into it for a count of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then exhaling out from your heart space. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We'll do that again. Again, we're focusing on breathing into the heart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhaling 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We'll drop the counting now and just breathing in nice and slow breaths, going with your full focus on your physical space of your heart. And as you continue to breathe in and out through the heart, I'll invite you to remember a time that someone or something or some situation made you feel like you belonged, like you fit right in just as you are, for exactly who you are, for all that you are. Perhaps it was a friend's smile or a big-hearted laugh as you sit with a good friend, or maybe walking into a familiar room with a bunch of people who just get you. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's just a sense of belonging as you sat and watched a sunset. Whatever it is, just tapping into the physical sense of how that felt for you to belong in that moment, to truly feel like you fit in and belonged exactly as you are. Continuing to breathe in and out through the heart as you notice what you notice. Perhaps you feel warmth, maybe a smile, maybe some gratitude. Maybe your shoulders melt a little. Maybe the face relaxes. Just staying with this moment of heart breathing and belonging. And if another thought comes in, that's okay. Just notice it and come back to the breathing in and out through the heart, into that moment of belonging. And just taking a deep breath in, and as you exhale, finding appreciation for this experience and for the ability to self-generate a sense of belonging and presence when you need it. If your eyes were closed, you can open them, become aware of the space around you. Thank you for doing that with me. Yeah, I hope you found that exercise helpful. Belonging is something that we can create for ourselves and for others. It's in the way that we listen, the way that we connect, the way that we choose to show up, even when we think we're too different from the person across from us. I'd love to hear from you. So how do you foster belonging in your life? What do you do to create a culture of connection, whether that's at work or at home or with friends or family or in the community? You can reach out to me here on the podcast or on email at info@thefullymindful.com or DM me at thefullymindful on Instagram. Love to hear from you. Again, info@thefullymindful.com, or here in the podcast space, there's a space you can reach out, or on Instagram at thefullymindful. Let's keep this conversation going, because in a world where division seems loud, belonging is even louder. Thanks for joining me on The Fully Mindful. Until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other.